Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to yet another exciting halal food podcast. Today we've got one of the known faces in the UK halal sector. He's given us some time to talk about the operations of his abattoir, and we are hoping that people will get to learn more about our interaction with Rizvan Khalid today. You are one of the Muslim-owned, Muslim-operated abattoirs in the UK. So somebody hearing this will say, oh, you know the rules. You can assure that Muslims consumers that your products are halal and all that. Do you still use a certification body to certify your products, or are you able to just write a letter, send it to your buyers, your customers, and say, look, I am a Muslim, I know the rules, I've done the process, here you go?
Yeah, so we have customers that want certification, and we have customers that know us and know how we operate that don't need certification.
Mhm.
So this becomes more a marketing question to see that for the business, the customers they're supplying to, what level of assurance do their customers need? Because we're supplying to wholesalers and butchers who know us, but then their customers may not necessarily know us.
Yeah.
So they the declarations that we do provide those customers, they have, for example, a QR code on there that then links to videos about our factory and how we operate. But then even then, some customers will be like, well, we want there to be an extra level of assurance.
Yeah.
So in the UK, we have HMC that we use then for some customers. In France, there's another similar certification body called AVS. And again, we used AVS in the past for some customers that wanted AVS product. So there is an extra cost for some of these certification because some certifiers will certify on an annual basis.
Yeah.
Some will certify on a product basis, where they have inspectors there all the time throughout. So you're paying the person's wages, every time they're on site.
Yeah.
So it depends on the customers, and if they're happy to pay the extra assurance for it, then we're happy to supply it.
Okay. So I've interacted with businesses who feel the halal certification fee is a burden to business. Do you think that the marketing, using it as a marketing tool, outweighs the financial outlay or the financial investment in certification?
Yeah, I have some sympathy with that view, because I do think that sometimes the halal certifiers, they could be more risk-based and more value-adding.
Yeah.
By risk-based, what I mean is that if a site is 100% halal with good controls, good history, owned by Muslim owners, there's not the same risk to need a inspector there the whole time. Whereas if you have a site that has got halal and non-halal products, there's a low level of Muslim operators or supervisors there, maybe got poor compliance in the past, then yeah, for that kind of site, you would want someone there to supervise the product. So I think there needs to be more risk assessments and risk-based halal certification.
Yeah.
And I think there also needs to be more value adding in that halal certifiers, because particularly with some of the non-Muslim operators, if they're doing halal and supplying good products to the marketplace, sometimes they get attacked from other people for doing halal, and we might come on to this later on. But the halal certifiers could help by giving them more information around halal PR, how to manage the issues about the halal marketplace, so they can take full advantage of the opportunities out there. So going beyond just the certification, and even with abattoirs, for example, they could also act as animal welfare consultants or even auditors or advisors to sort of see when they look at practices in the lairage, they can advise about how to improve the flows or improve the process. So I think that value added, and they should certainly charge for that.
Yeah.
But I think that the value adding would really benefit. So it's not just purely a certification. It's more than that.
Also, what we've heard time and time again is the differences in the operation of halal certifiers. So if you bring two certifiers to your abattoir, the way one will audit will be different from the way another will audit. We've also seen instances where halal certification bodies are operated by basically one person who is just in the background issuing certificate without the necessary procedures. What do you think in your mind, how do you think these things needs to be sort of improved, the process needs to be improved so that consumer confidence will increase in halal certification?
Very good question, and it's a bit like where organic certification used to be.
Okay.
Um, when organic certification started, it was just initial people's ideas, and then it started to become a bit more regulated, and then it started having laws in place. But then even then, you have different organic logos, and people were confused about which organic logo meant for what. And then you bought your one organic logo that then everyone can be under and became more regulated. So I see us being on a similar trajectory, and because at the moment we are having accreditation centers like the Gulf Accreditation Center, the Dubai Accreditation Center, that they are accrediting halal certifiers. That then gives you a level of assurance that at least these guys aren't Mickey Mouse operators or one man band. That
Yeah.
they've got Sharia departments, they've got technical auditors, they can do it. But we still at the moment do have those, particularly in the UK, we still have the one man bands, and until we try to develop a local sort of accreditation type system, whereas a halal certifier needs to have minimum these criteria to be able to certify,
Mhm.
um, we will continue to have these issues.
Yeah.
One of the other issues about that one is that sometimes the halal certifiers will not recognize each other.
Yeah.
So you have, for example, the HMC will not accept AVS product, and AVS will not accept the HMC product, even though they both perform non-stun slaughter, or that's their standard.
Yeah.
But because of other differences, they won't accept each other's standards, and there needs to be more liaison between the two, so that they can have a service level agreement. Whereas if they want to accept each other's standard, they can say that, okay, as well as your own standard, can you also do X, Y, and Z criteria checks, and then we can accept the product from that plant because you've
Yeah.
gone and you've included these other bits that we wanted to include as well. So there needs to be more collaboration between certifiers, and there needs to be some sort of framework, just so we as so the consumers can have a better trust, so we sort of say that it's not just a pretty certificate. There's actually something underneath it.
And to the ordinary consumer, Rizvan, it must be very confusing when you say your abattoir has got, you do slaughter without stunning, and that process is certified by the HMC and also by AVS, who both do not, or who both the main method of slaughter accepted by both certifiers is the non-stun slaughter. So somebody may be asking, why can't they just recognize, why can't AVS in France just recognize HMC without the need for them to come into your abattoir to certify? So I think it's a very, very good point you've made in terms of mutual recognition among certifiers. So my next question is, if you look at the Shikita slaughter process, or the Shikita market in the UK, they have a central, or they are more unified, and if anything comes in the media, it comes through one piece of one office. So if the BBC wants to report about Shikita slaughter, they will go to Shikita UK to get a view on Shikita. Now, when you look at halal, when anything comes in the news, you get Mr. A commenting, Mr. B commenting, and Mr. C commenting. What can we do in the UK to have one mouthpiece so that that mouthpiece can bring out consistent information about halal, not just from anybody giving messages, contrasting messages on halal?
Yeah, great question, and it's something again that's very much in need, because the Shikita organization is one to learn from, in that They have the London Board of Deputies within support Shakita UK, a campaign group, to then present and to gather information that might affect Shakita and that's happening in the media or in the regulatory bodies. We have we have initiated, along with a group of other stakeholders, including Shazan's, World Halal Authority, RACS, and HMC, a new organization called the Halal Food Information Center. And the objective will be to have a codified and a coordinated response to queries that the media might have, queries that the politicians might have, and to give a sort of coordinated response. So we're just in the process of developing the website, but that has been initiated, and it'll take a few years before all the policy papers and everything is fully populated on there. But thankfully that coordination has started to happen, and hopefully it'll become a route to try to try to plug any gaps that there may be, that'll help policymakers, that'll help welfare organizations and consumers as well. And because also the general public is confused about, what does halal mean, etc. So if we start to educate and start to sort of show what different marks might mean, etc., and have that level of transparency, I think that everyone will benefit from that. So something is in motion at the moment. So
Thank you very much. So if somebody needs some information on this new organization, so if there is a stakeholder in the UK who wants to join, not necessarily a certifier, but a meat processor, a meat business, or somebody interested in investing in the halal sector, if somebody wants more information, now that you are still in your infancy, where can they get, who can they contact, and where can they get information from?
if they send an email to hello@hfic.org.uk, so that email address is set up, and we will be taking on memberships as well. And the idea is that we'll then support the companies and businesses that get support or other understanding of the halal market. There'll be benefits of the membership, and then that will also support the development of the halal sector widely.
Okay, thank you very much. My next question is related to the formation of a central body that handles halal inquiries, because there has been a rise in anti-halal or anti-Muslim sentiments in the industrialized economies, particularly in the UK and in Australia, where some political movements have accused halal certifiers of funding terrorism. That has happened in the UK, that has happened in Australia. Do you think they have a point? Is there any evidence to suggest that halal certification is related to the funding of terrorism?
It's a smear campaign. It's these campaigns are done by far right and Islamophobic individuals and organizations, and the idea is they also jump on the animal welfare bandwagon as well, because their concern isn't the welfare, because we can have separate discussion around the welfare and see how we can improve welfare practices, but they jump on anything, whether it's to do with the hijab or circumcision or other things, to use that to attack Muslims. Recently, last year, there was a culmination of a legal case where Britain's first leaders were taken to court over libelous claims that is a certain certifier was, by their certification, that was funding terrorism, and they had to pay hundreds of thousands of pounds of damages. So it was a big moment, and it's to sort of show that you can't just go around smearing organizations and individuals like this. So there isn't any truth behind it. You also have other organizations. For example, there are some, I would say, Christian groups as well, who are, for example, saying that because Muslims believe in a moon god, and that is the same as idolatry, we can't consume halal meat. Now, those arguments are ridiculous, because we don't believe in a moon god or a sun god or anything like that. It's the same God as what Jews believe in, what Christians believe in. It's just that we call him different name, and we believe in a prophet after Moses, peace be upon him, after Jesus, peace be upon him. And so the fact that we have different views of the same God doesn't mean it's a different God. So these are tactics to try to confuse, to try to um, actually steer away from the actual sort of issues of where there might be some concern or what might be some understanding that people want to have, and it just tries to confuse the whole issue by muddying the water. So it's important that people understand where this is coming from and try to focus on the things that unites us rather than these false accusations.
Thank you very much, Rizvan, for throwing some light on it.